This is the first box made for YouTube from the Dragon Shed. It's covered with over 500 individually quilled roses and near enough 400 quilled rolls here. Top I've got a inlay of beads, and I'm going to cover that with a little bit of resin when it gets a bit warmer, because this shed is way too cold for resin at the minute. And inside is nicely lined in some silver velvet. So first box out, here's how I made it. First thing you do is make up some quills in different sizes. So I've got some that are a centimetre wide and some that are about a half. So it gives me an idea of where I'm going with this design. Then get your box to a semi-finished state, so give it a coat of a dark paint. I use black or dark blue, and remove all the fittings and brackets and whatever else, and just kind of hold it together with masking tape for the time being, and line it up on a piece of paper and draw out the rough shape of the box and mark where the opening is as well.
The way I've built it here, it's got a clear ladder step, so this is a nice repeating pattern that can go all the way along. So this is like one tile on the wall. So it being 1.5 wide, we'll do a little bit of maths. So if you count up all your smalls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so, or shorts even, you've got 8 of those, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 long. Then measure around your box, completely around the perimeter. So that's 22 plus 14 twice, which I make to be about 72 centimetres in perimeter. And then if you divide that by 1.5, that should give you 48.
Start with going for a 50, which makes it easier to work out the total numbers as well. So then 8 shorts in this small bit, so that times 50 is 400. 11 times 50. In terms of the roses, they're more difficult to work out, but if you average at around about 25 roses per 4 centimetres, gives you an average of around about 375 actual roses to be rolled, and again plus 10%. So all in all, you're going to be quite busy. Okay, so we're going to start gluing up on the front here. What I've picked quite an ornate clasp to go on the front, and obviously I don't want it in the way at the minute, so I've masked out this position, so I'm not putting any glue on there. I also want to put a line right down the centre, so you can start from here and work outwards, going to So, onto the roses then. So, I've got a nice round about ½ inch gap between each of these, into which a rose sits quite nicely actually. They're fairly wide gaps, so you don't need to squeeze the rose too much. So first you do one row just within the gaps, and then you do the next row just slightly above and in between. So it's time for the hot glue gun, and you're doing this, try and keep the joint on the rose at the bottom. So again, it adds extra strength to the rose itself, so it's less likely to unravel. Although if it's not unraveled by this stage, you're normally alright. Right, so I've finished doing the first row of roses, and now I'm going to start on the second. Now, fitting these in between each of the ones before, because they're shaped, they're naturally kind of shaped like archstone, so it will form an arch on its own. It might need a little bit of persuading later on, but for the start at least, for the first 2 or 3 rows, you can get it most of the way there without too much trouble. So moving on to the next bit, and again always glue on the join and kind of push them forward slightly as you stick them on, because this glue doesn't dry perfectly clear. So if you dab the glue on and then slide the rows forward into place, that way it holds it in, gives it a nice long glue line, and it doesn't show on the around the front. So okay, so I've got 3 rows completed going in from either side, and the gap in between is getting to the point where it's too big for 1 row on its own, but not quite big enough for 2, especially down the sides. The corners are a bit more roomy and they'll need more filling in later, but as you go around the sides there is a little bit of play, so you can squeeze them in slightly. So for these ones you need to put more glue around the base of the rows, tuck it in and then squeeze it and hold it until it sets. That way it comes to a nice natural curve and it sits neatly. The corners you get to at the end, so you only work the straight edge first and then you come around to the corners. Okay, you can see here I've finished the frame and I've made sure to squeeze it all firmly down so it is nice and solid and set. As if it's not squeezed down, if there's any kind of pressure on it in storage, these can all pop out and explode off everywhere, even with the hot glue on. So that's that done. It just needs to be finished now. I'm going to have a last kind of wiggle against these, make sure there aren't any more loose ones, so they seem quite solid. So all I've got to do is decide what word or phrase, quote I'm going to put in the top, and put the clasp on and then finish the inside, so I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, so I've gone all the way around the base and the bottom edge or side edges of the lid. So for the roses you really need to saturate them, and because I'm going to put some resin in the centre to hold the beads and the finish in, I'm not going to do anything in that centre section, so it's just going to be around the outside. Okay, for the lining I've cut out a card base which sits inside the box down by about ½ centimetre, 5mm give or take, and there's a little bit of leeway towards the end as well. I've picked a nice kind of velvet, nice silver grey. I couldn't find any black. You normally have loads of it, but I didn't have any at the minute. So silver grey velvet. So start with the sides. Just kind of match up your clips and try and keep even tension all the way down, because some of the cheaper velvets, if you pull them too far, they'll open up and you'll be able to see the lining through. Okay, I'll just show you the end here. Right, there are a couple of options. You can completely tuck it in like that, but you'll end up with a lot of bulk in the corner here. So best way I've worked out is double-sided on the end. Don't go to the very corner, just in the middle. And fix that end bit in. Then go beyond the edge of the corner here. So don't snip on the corner, snip about 5mm up from the corner, and then take off that little ear there. So that gives you a little bit of leeway. You can then tuck that under and as you glue the next bit. So that's the sides. So when that's done, I'll come and I'll show you the base. Okay, so I've finished that and slipped it in, and it sits nicely in there, still a good 3 or 4 mil below the edge here, which is going to come up once you put the bottom in. I'll put it in like that for now, just to see how it fits. When it comes to actually fitting it, it's going to be bottom first. So again, I've got a bit of card that's cut short. My wadding is cut short on the long ends and very short on the short ends. So if I line that up and then line it up to a square edge of this lining, lots of lines in it. So the first coat of varnish has dried, and I've put a strip of ribbon around the inside just to neaten that up. There's no point in trying to do a lining for that because it's too small. So I'm now going to stick in my lining. Double check that it fits nicely, and I'm going to double glue this, so a couple of strips of double-sided, just as an immediate hold and for backup hold really. And a wee bit of glue in the middle. So I've stuck double-sided tape halfway down all the way around. So now it's time to put the side in. So what I do is peel back enough of the first bit of tape just to bring it to the top of the edge of the box here, and then start feeding in. To make sure this is secure, I'm going to use some pins just to hammer in. Now I'm going to protect the front of this, a couple of little felt cushions, so I don't do any damage whilst I'm hammering. But these pins are 10mm brass pins, just for model work, so it doesn't need to be particularly beefy, just enough to get a decent grab on here. You want to put them about 2 centimetres apart, so that's about 3/4 of an inch. Being where it is, it can be a little difficult to get them in straight. So this just needs another coat of varnish and the resin on the inside, which I said I wouldn't do until it's warmer in here, and it's still only about 12 degrees, so I don't think that's a wise idea at the minute. This box was a pain to build. Not only did the hinges go all screwy and I had to fill in and replace them, although that looks quite good, the filler's covered nicely so it doesn't show that badly. The cheaper glue I was using was pretty useless, and I, in the process of putting the hinges on, I lost half a dozen rolls, and every other process I lost another half dozen rolls, so most of those I've had to re-stick or rescue from under the table. But that being said, I started with 4 jars of quills and roses, and I've ended up with just the one. But these will come in handy for other projects down the line because they're always useful.